In January 2006, a family sale of a Thai phone company to a foreign buyer poured billions into one man's orbit, and by September, soldiers were on the streets of Bangkok and the Prime Minister was gone. To understand why a telecom transaction could topple a government, you have to go back to the 1980s, when the phone in Thailand was still a luxury and the state controlled the lines. A young police officer named Thaksin Shinawatra, born into a merchant family in Chiang Mai, had studied abroad, come home with big ambitions, and started a computer rental firm at a time when the word modem still felt new. He was good at spotting bottlenecks. He saw that the government had the licenses, but it didn't have the capital or the speed to wire a country that was just discovering the pager and the car phone. Thailand's solution was a system called Build, Transfer, Operate. The state enterprises, TOT for telephones and CAT for communications, handed out concessions to private firms. You built the network, transferred ownership to the state, and in return you got the exclusive right to operate it and collect fees for years. In practice, that meant a smart, connected entrepreneur could secure a government contract that behaved like a toll road. The traffic kept coming, the cash kept flowing, and the barriers to entry were steep. Thaksin raced into that space. He formed what would become Shin Corporation and launched Advanced Info Service A, ICE to run mobile service, under a concession from TOT. When the Asian financial crisis hit in 1997, steel skeletons of half-built towers froze over Bangkok. Money dried up, the baht plunged, and companies buckled. But people kept calling. They still needed to talk to their mother in Chiang Mai, a supplier in Shenzhen, a friend across town. Mobile minutes were elastic, and contracts with the state fixed the rules. AIS tightened its belt, negotiated with lenders, and kept the network humming. With wealth came a turn toward politics. In the 1990s, Thaksin served in government briefly, learned how ministries moved, learned the tempo of decision-making. After the crash in '97, he founded a new party. Thai Rock, Thai Ties, Love Ties promising debt relief in the villages, cheap health care, and decisive leadership. For voters reeling from the crisis, it sounded like someone finally had a plan. In 2001, he won by a landslide and became prime minister. The problem, from day one, sat in plain sight. His family still controlled Shin Corporation, which held stakes in AIS, in Telecom, and later in a television station. He said he'd separated himself, that the assets were in the hands of relatives and nominees, and that he would govern for the common good. But every regulatory change, every tax tweak, every new spectrum policy now landed under a cloud. It all snapped in January 2006. Thaksin's family sold their controlling stake in Shin Corporation to a Singaporean state investor. The price was enormous, the kind of number that makes a country stop and stare. The deal was structured under the letter of Thai law so that the family members selling didn't pay capital gains tax. On paper, that was legal for individual stock sales. On the street, it smelled wrong. Overnight, the talk was about a national asset sold abroad, about favoritism, about a leader profiting on decisions made while in power. Protests swelled in Bangkok. Crowds in white shirts and headbands packed the avenues near the Democracy Monument. He called a snap election to prove he still had a mandate. The opposition boycotted it. The courts later annulled the vote. By September, while Thaksin was in New York for the United Nations, tanks rolled, television stations played martial music, and a terse announcement declared the government dissolved. He didn't go home. He flew to London instead, and then on to other cities. Charges began to pile up in Bangkok. In 2008, one case ended with a conviction in absentia and a 2-year sentence, sealing the next phase of his life. A billionaire, a former prime minister, and now a political exile watching his country through hotel windows and satellite feeds. The irony is almost too neat. The same beams and towers that built his fortune let him speak to supporters from abroad and kept him present in Thai politics even when his passport no longer opened the right doors. That's the lesson threaded through this story so far. When you build the network, you don't just get money, you get connection. And in a country where connection is power, that can either carry you to the top or tie you down when the wind turns. She stepped forward quietly, almost like she didn't plan to stay long, and then the room changed. Yingluck Shinawatra was younger, softer spoken, and she carried a surname that could fill a stadium. Her pitch in 2011 was disarmingly simple. Bring back growth, bring back stability, bring back a sense that the government was listening to the people who too often felt left out. Governing began with a flood, literally. In late 2011, water swamped the Central Plains and industrial estates, cars floated where roads should have been, and supply chains snapped. Yingluck's cabinet had to make hard choices about dams, evacuations, and protecting factories that anchored the export economy. The response wasn't perfect, but it was visible. Rubber boots in the mud, nighttime briefings, and an argument that competent management could calm a crisis. By the time the next act arrived, the question had changed shape, but not its heart. Could a country reconcile a popular economic vision with a political system that kept resetting the board? And if a family name returned to the ballot once more, would it carry the same charge or a different one? The wires were still overhead, humming. Years under the junta brought a new constitution in 2017 that weighted the next election towards stability as defined from the top. When the vote finally came in 2019, parties linked to Thaksin won the most seats, but not the government, and a new youth party galvanized attention before being carved down by court rulings. Still, the family's political machine kept humming, not at full roar, but never quiet. Then came 2023, and the map shook again. The youth-led Move Forward Party placed first, but faced a wall in the Senate. Pheu Thai, the latest home of the Shinawatra brand, stitched a coalition with former rivals and took the premiership through a real estate executive, Shretha Thavasin. On the very day the deal congealed, Thaksin flew home after 15 years, bowed at the airport, and rode to a court that swiftly confirmed old sentences.